Tim, who's better known by his stage name of is it said Elephante, right? Elephant. Okay, just so I've always read it that way in my head.
Yeah, I mean it's always Elephante, but I get a lot of different ones. So
Yeah, I've
whatever.
always read it that way. So Tim has been up to some huge things lately. He just released Heavy Glow, but we're really not here to talk about that today. While it's awesome, of course, we wanted to talk to something that's more important to the fans, which is we're here to talk about Tim himself and then his fans. He wouldn't be anywhere that he is today without the support of his loving fans. So we're here to get to know him a little bit better. So let's dive into it. So first off, thank you so much for being here, Tim. I want to personally thank you. I know your fans will appreciate this a lot, and I know that we at the festival always appreciate it too.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So tell me, what have been some of your favorite fan experiences that you've had so far?
And it's there's so many. I think the most recent would definitely have to be I've played a few pretty big festivals in the last month, and it was coming out of the pandemic where there were times where I wasn't sure if I'd ever be able to perform live again, and I'd been working on this album kind of in isolation for a long time, and as many people did, I struggled with my mental health while over the last couple of years. But then it's always a little scary playing new music out on these big stages where you've never played them before, and you get the nerves, and especially after having not really done it much recently. But then going out and playing these new songs that had just come out, and then finding fans out there in the crowd singing along to album cuts that had been out for like 24 hours and they already knew the words, right? That's really special, and that's the kind of thing I live for, and makes all the struggles and everything else worth it. So that's the whole thing. That is it's such a sacred thing to me, and be able to experience that. But and then just like the little things that where I have my own quirks, and I talk. One example is like I have an orange tree in the backyard, and I had to like go and water it, and I was bored and just started like recording like me talking shit to my orange tree, just being, and it like became kind of a gag, and just kept doing it. And, I would go to shows and people would have signs being like referencing the orange tree and stuff. Yeah. And it's like, that's crazy. It's just, it's such a magical thing, and I'm very fortunate to have the fans that I do.
Perfect. I'm sure you've received a lot of fan art over the years. What has been your favorite piece or most memorable fan art? I know you just mentioned like the orange thing. It's kind of fan art.
Well, I have a drawer filled with candy, which is always, very special to me. But I don't know if you can see it on the door behind me, but a fan on my last tour, a fan made a felt artwork of my glass mansion artwork. It's all felt, and it's like stitched and put together, and it's like super intricate. And I saw that, and I was like, that's incredible. So that's been hanging up in my studio since I got it. I think it was in 2019.
Yeah, so. That's so awesome. That's so cool. And we all know how fans can get when they meet their favorite artists. What has been one of your most memorable interactions with a fan?
And it's always still a little like put off guard by it, because I feel kind of the same that I always have, and to see people like really happy to meet me, it obviously means the world. But I'm kind of like, I'm like a dude, like you don't have to be nervous or whatever. But no, it's just it's seeing how much the music means to people. It just means a lot, right? And knowing that just especially in the last one of my resolutions coming out of the pandemic is just being really grateful for every fan that I have, and it's the little things where it just feels like such a special interaction that I didn't know if I would have anymore, and to just be super grateful for it. And I'm it's always especially being on the internet all the time, like actually seeing real people behind it is really important.
You get a unique perspective of the crowd from the stage. What has been one of the craziest things you've seen at a show or a fest?
Oh man, I mean, I've seen pretty much everything. Um, it's like usually I'm looking for people to kind of engage with, people who are really into the song or make eye contact and kind of just finding that and, living in the moment. Occasionally I'll see kids. I'm a little numb to it at this point, but I've seen crazy stuff where like I'll be playing something hard and I like saw someone just like punch their friend in the face. And then they were like, it wasn't like an angry fight, it was just like a mosh and they were just going nuts. And I was like, okay, I guess this is what's happening now.
Yeah.
So, you see all kinds of, crazy shit going down.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I'm usually pretty focused on my show and doing the performance, but every now and then you catch something funny like that.
Yeah, that is pretty fair. It reminds me of the time that, Excision's Throwing Elbows song.
Yeah.
Me and my boyfriend were both like throwing elbows and like headbanging, and he got me in the eye, and I almost had a black eye, and like I about fell down.
It gets wild at Excision shows. It gets wild when you play dubstep.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk. Well, sorry, I got ahead of myself. I was reading the wrong question. When you're playing a festival, you're not playing the whole night. Do you ever get to go check out any sets? You get lost in the crowd, and do fans recognize you? What do you do when they?
Yeah, I mean, it's especially recently. I love going out in the crowd and walking in GA and just reminding myself what it's like to be on the other side and remind myself of what it was like for me 10 years ago when I was going to the shows and looking up and telling myself one day I'd be up there. So yeah, especially, EDC Las Vegas is like one of the most magical places in the world. And I always love kind of going out there and, just experiencing it as a fan. That shit is really awesome.
Yeah.
I do get recognized. It depends on where I'm at, right? Like if I'm going to check out Sudden Death at the base stage, like I'm usually pretty incognito, but if I'm out for like Audion or something, someone who's a little closer to my sound, then people usually recognize me there.
Yeah, that makes sense. And let's talk those live performances. You were kind of chatting about EDC. Do you prefer playing for a large crowd like EDC or a smaller, more intimate venue? Or do you like them both?
I love them both. They're very different kind of energies. At the smaller venue, you can definitely make more connections with people, and you can kind of lock in, and it's a lot more intimate, right? And you can do a lot more indulgent stuff where you can play the 6-minute edit of some album track, right? Because people know you and they're there for you. On the festival stuff, there's a little bit more of the like, I got to show you who I am and what I can do. There's a little more of that kind of like, I'm here and I'm going to prove myself energy. But, the last few sets, I've just been basically playing the album and like different versions of older songs of mine. So it's been much more of just like hey, this is what I do. And I'm going to go and just give what I have and feed off the crowd energy and just see what happens.
Yeah. What has been your favorite festival or venue to play for so far?
Ever? I mean, EDC Las Vegas is definitely up there. That's definitely like a career check mark. Playing Lollapalooza was really special to me personally because growing up, I was a big, alternative rock guy. I grew up listening to the Chili Peppers and Pearl Jam and things like that, and to see my name on the poster, like the ones that I would stare at when I was a kid, and like to be on it and to be there, and because I grew up in Michigan, that was the one closest to me that kind of everyone. So that was like the most like, wow, I'm actually doing it.
That's awesome. What is your favorite song to get the audience pumped up and dancing to?
Man, I think it changes over time. Right now, it's definitely Dopamine off my new album. It was one of the first songs where I was singing on, and when I started playing it, it was just a demo and kind of this rough idea I had, and I played it on tour, and I was like, I don't know how people are really going to react. But by the end of the tour, like people already knew the lyrics and people knew the words and stuff. And so that one's always a, when the strings come in, you always get a few people scream, and it's like that really sets it off.
That's awesome. So now let's get a little more personal and help your audience connect with you a little bit. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how old you are, where you're from, where you live now, etc.
I am 32 years old. My social security number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Perfect.
My mother's maiden name. No. Look, I've always been a pretty big nerd. I've always liked music, and making music has always been the thing that I've dreamed of doing. And when I was younger, I dragged my friends out to like shitty open mics, and like burn CDs for them. The kids reading this interview probably won't know what those are, but they used to be these physical objects that you would put music on. Yeah, I mean, for me, like just being able to make and play music is really just like, everything I ever dreamed of. I'm a gamer. I like playing video games, play a lot of pickup basketball. I'm a pretty good cook, pretty good home cook. And I think that kind of covers most of it. My favorite animal is a penguin, believe it or not, because I saw Happy Feet when I was 16 and cried. So that's probably an exclusive scoop. I don't think I've ever talked about that before.
That's awesome. Tell us a little bit about your family. Do you have any brothers or sisters? And then did your family support your choice to become a musician?
Yeah. My mom and dad, they were always supportive, but they just didn't really get it. They were immigrants. And for them, it's like, they moved to this country and made all these sacrifices so that I would have a better life and have opportunities that they didn't. And so for me, going into music was just, it's not something that, it just wasn't a thing for them. Mm-hmm. And especially DJing, they're like, wait, what do you mean you get paid to play other people's music? I was like, well, I play my own music too. And it wasn't until they kind of saw the show, and kind of saw the energy and saw what I did that they were like, oh, I get it now. So yeah, I think it was just a fear of, they wanted the best for me and they just didn't quite understand it. And I think it was only after they came to some shows and I'd been doing it for a few years and I didn't have to ask them for any money that they're like, oh, he's probably doing okay. So.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's talk about your childhood for a second. What's your fondest memory from your childhood?
Oh man.
That's a hard one.
Yeah. The memory, but I remember, or I don't remember, my mom told me when I was like an infant, whenever I was crying, and she would just, and being annoying like as babies are, she would just put on Fantasia and I would just get sucked in and just sit in front of the TV like 2 feet away for a couple hours and like give my mom some much needed rest. And I like kind of forgot about it, but then I was watching it again recently a couple years ago as an adult, and I had all these like really, I just started feeling weird and had all these like crazy like deja vu flashbacks, and was like, there's something, like it like resonated with something buried in my head, and it was like, that's like a really it felt like a very spiritual kind of experience, and I was like, oh, this is probably why I make music.
Yeah, so. That's awesome. Tell us a little bit more about your past. What brought you to this point in your life for music, or were there any life-defining moments or people that impacted you that made you want to become a musician?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the exact moment I wanted to. I love music. I was classically trained in piano, and the moment I realized I wanted to make music was when I heard "Continuum" by John Mayer. That album totally changed my life and was I think at that time, a girl I had a crush on in middle school broke my heart, and I thought, well, you know, if I become a rock star, then she'll want me back. And spoiler alert, didn't work, but I found something better, and you know, that was kind of the moment where I just totally fell in love with it, and taught myself guitar in my basement, and tried to start writing songs, and yeah, it just like fell head over heels in love with making music.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. What was the first album you ever bought, and why did you buy that one?
With my own money was probably By the Way by Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Mm-hmm. I had a feeling you were going to say something about them.
The first album I bought, but now with my parents' money, was Millennium by Backstreet Boys.
Well.
I was a big Backstreet Boys fan. Yeah, I mean, they were. It was just they're like the Chili Peppers are one of my favorite bands, and it felt like one of the. You know, I love the art on that too, so that's probably why I got it.
That's awesome. Two-part question. How old were you when you went to your first concert, and who did you go see? And what was the first festival you went to?
These answers are going to be very repetitive, but the first concert I went to was Red Hot Chili Peppers in Detroit. I went with some friends in high school, and that was like you know, I grew up in a pretty small college town, and so we didn't have anything like that. And it was like my first time seeing a show in an arena. And just was like totally blown away by everything. You know, we're sitting way back in the nosebleeds. Mm-hmm. I think we might have like figured out how to score some like really shitty weed, and that was like probably high for the first time, and was like, this is incredible. Mm-hmm. The first festival might have been Coachella in 2012 or 13. I can't remember if I went to anything before that, but that was like, you know, the first time I had the experience of, you know, having like 20 artists on the lineup that I really wanted to see, and like making my schedule and being like, okay, we got to be here, and then, you know, you learn very quickly when you go to these festivals. Like, yeah, you can have your plan, that's great, you're not going to follow it. Especially if you're in a group. It's just not going to happen. There's no way you're going to make it from this stage into that stage in, you know, 5 minutes, and you're not going to stay for 15 minutes at that one set to go to another one. It's just like you just learn. It's like, look, you're gonna miss people you really want to see, and that's just, you know, that's how it goes. So yeah, I think that was probably my first festival experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I know of a hardstyle DJ who was into punk music growing up, and the simplicity of the punk rock influenced his music. Now, you mentioned Red Hot Chili Peppers. Do you have any unique musical influences that played a part? I know you mentioned John Mayer as well.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's just the music I grew up listening to is like, and learned how to write music to. That's sort of the backbone of everything I make now. You know, I always came from like a more songwriting and melodic background, telling stories with the lyrics, and I think that's what led me to more of the progressive house stuff early on in my career, because it followed a lot of the same melodic structures and sort of song shapes. And then, you know, as I got older, all the, like, you know, in the early 2010s, electronic music was such an exciting place. And, you know, I heard like Skrillex for the first time, and, you know, trance for the first time, like hearing like BT or Above and Beyond. And then, you know, hearing, you know, like deep house, and just like all the different, the crazy universe that dance music is. And yeah, but I think it all goes back to the song for me, the melodies and the lyrics, and that's always been the other, everything else, the sound design, the, you know, the big production, it's all like, how do we make this song feel like what it is?
Mm-hmm. Awesome. What is one thing you feel is unique about you?
Oh man, I mean, I've always kind of felt like I've been going my way my whole life. And that's been one of the blessings, but also challenges of kind of making the career in what I have. I grew up in Michigan, in Ann Arbor, and no one, like, people in Michigan don't move to LA to become musicians, right? That's not a thing. Like, Asian people traditionally weren't known to go into creative fields. It's always like, I feel like a lot of my life has just been wrestling with like what I am like supposed to do, like what the sort of template of like you go to college and you get a job versus like going out on your own and being a creative. And it's just been, along the way I've met sort of other kind of lonely soul outcast wanderers like myself, and it's like, oh, I'm not the only one doing this. But it for a lot of my life, it's just felt like, why, like, I want to make music, why shouldn't I make music? This is like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And then having the world around you be like, well, dude, you're never going to make it, and just kind of fighting that battle the whole way. So I guess that's sort of I'm a walking contradiction in a lot of ways, I guess.
What is one thing most people don't know about you?
I mentioned the cooking thing earlier. I don't know if people know that. I have 6 tattoos, I think. I don't know if that's super well known. Yeah, I think I can't think of anything else really. I'm generally pretty open about stuff.
Yeah. If you could give your fans any piece of advice about their career, their life, or anything, what would it be?
It's gonna sound corny, but do what you love, right? And I guess the more nuanced part of that is know that it's going to be really hard, and it's going to be hard for different reasons than you think it's going to be hard. For example, with music, it was really hard, but it wasn't the making music that was hard. It was the being told no over and over and over again, and failing and putting songs out and having no one care, and having shows that bomb. And it's just, you're going to fail over and over and over and over again. And the people who make it aren't necessarily the most talented ones. They're the ones who can take that failure and be psychotic enough to be like, I'm going to keep doing this. And so when I got into this, it was very much I'm doing this because there's nothing else I can do. Like, whether or not it's not like the smart thing to do, it's just I had no other choice. And so it's just know that if you have that drive and you really love it, and it's what you do when you have nothing else to do. You can figure it out. You can make, no matter what the world tells you, what the odds tell you. If that's what you want to do and you are dead set on it, you can make it happen.
Yeah. That's awesome that you said you can make it happen. I mean, you just have to be dedicated and take time, right?
Yeah. And my motto is like, you either make it or you quit. So just don't quit.
Yeah. Do you have anything else that you would like to share with our wonderful viewers, and we are going to post about this too, so our own readers?
No, just I'm just so grateful for everyone who listens to my music and comes to the shows. It really does feel like a privilege to be out here doing what I'm doing, and especially with everything that's going on in the world. So, it really means the world to have people listening, and I'm excited to go on tour for the album next year. Yeah. And I hope to see everyone out there.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Well, Tim, that's all the time we have for today. We really want to thank you for taking the time to talk to the audience with your fan base. We also want to thank our Festival Voice fans. We both know that Tim wouldn't be anywhere that he is today, and we wouldn't either without the support from you guys. Thank you from the bottom of both of our hearts, and stay tuned for more information coming from the Bustler Voice.